I'll get on it this afternoon. Here I am with no exercise. Hello. Like some people are starting to do it again.
Every time I go in a place like yesterday, I was in Aubrey. I wear my mask. I figure people.
Our ancestors worshipped the sun, and they were far from foolish. It makes good sense to revere the sun and the stars, for we are their children. Carl Sagan. My name is Kat. I have the pleasure of serving you as the current chair of Mystic Grove CUUPs, First Unitarian Church of Orlando's Pagan Study Group and Covenant of Unitarian Universalist Pagans chapter. If this is your first time celebrating a summer solstice with us, whether in person or online, an extra special welcome to you. With me in today's service is our music director, Aubrey, Connelly-Candelario, our wonderful AV staff, and other Mystic Grovers and friends. We welcome all to join as we explore our Unitarian Universalist faith, a faith which draws us into community to seek justice, commit to lifelong spiritual growth, and to provide compassionate service to the community. Whoever you are, whoever you love, you are welcome here. You are welcome. Welcome here, regardless of your color, national origin, gender, sexual orientation, age, physical or mental abilities, economic status, or religious background. As a Unitarian Universalist congregation, we are a non-creedal community, and we don't subscribe to a specific set of beliefs. We live by a covenant that encourages ethical behavior, affirms democracy, celebrates the worth and dignity of every person, and unites us in a search for truth and meaning. All of our announcements today are on the slides before and after the service and have links in the weekly update and on our website. For more information about our congregation, go to orlandouu.org, or you can email welcometeam@orlandouu.org. Please note that the campaign to raise funds for the full-time Director of Religious Education position closes on June 30th. If you'd like to make a pledge to the DRE campaign, please go to the 1U website at orlandouu.org and use the link for the campaign at the top of the page in the yellow bar. Questions can be addressed to Joan Nelson, our board president, or to Amy Fairweather, our church administrator. This DRE campaign, plus the annual pledge drive held this spring, shows once again that 1U members and friends are really very generous. Please know that all of your gifts, large and small, are welcomed and appreciated. In July, you can look forward to a message over email to the 1U community to recap all of the results from both successful drives. Our Unitarian Universalist living tradition draws from 6 sources. Today, as we celebrate the summer solstice, we draw on our 6th source, the spiritual teachings of earth-centered traditions which celebrate the sacred circle of life and instruct us to live in harmony with the rhythms of nature. Keep in mind, this is not a pagan ritual. This is a UU service, which includes pagan and earth-centered readings and music, a little taste of what you might find at some pagan rituals. For the past 3 years in a row, pieces from the Mystic Grove worship portfolio have been selected for the CUUPs National Summer Solstice service at UUA General Assembly, including today's opening hymn. It has been our honor to serve you and represent 1U in this way and share the joy of our faith. Please sing along as willing and able. While some ideas for accessible movements from a seated position are shown, feel free to make up your own as we greet a new day. Let us begin.
Open my eyes to the miracles around me. Wake me up, wake me up. Open my eyes to the miracles around me. Wake me up, wake me up. Awaken me, awaken me, awaken me. Open my ears to your whispered words of guidance. Wake me up, wake me up. Open my ears to your whispered words of guidance. Wake me up, wake me up. Awaken me, awaken me, awaken me, awaken me. Shake me from my sleep and stir me from my dreaming. Wake me up, wake me up. Shake me from my sleep and stir me from my dreaming. Wake me up, wake me up. Awaken me, awaken me, awaken me, awaken me. Open my eyes to the miracles around me. Wake me up, wake me up. Open my eyes to the miracles around me. Wake me up, wake me up. Open my ears to your whispered words of guidance. Wake me up, wake me up. Open my ears to your whispered words of guidance. Wake me up, wake me up. Shake me from my sleep and stir me from my dreaming. Wake me up, wake me up. Shake me from my sleep and stir me from my dreaming. Wake me up, wake me up. Awaken me, awaken me, awaken me, awaken me. Wake me up, wake me up. Wake me up, wake me up. Wake me up. Wake me up.
Our opening reading is The Solstice Teaches Us by Reverend Dr. David Breeden. The solstices teach us that darkness comes, that darkness goes. The solstices teach us that light comes, that light goes. The solstices teach us calmly, silently, to be calm, silent, learning. The solstices teach us, as we circle the sun, that everything flies. The solstices teach us to remember the dark, to remember the light, to remember time, the seasons, and love as we circle the sun. Please join with me in the words of our cellist lighting. In the light of truth and in the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. Our opening reading is
a pagan practice that Mystic Grove often uses in ritual is a call to the elements or directions. Such prayers remind us to engage all parts of ourselves in worship, body, mind, heart, and spirit, and remind us to acknowledge the wider cosmos in which we live. It also helps create the sacred circle space for worship. This morning, Barbara Howe will call the directions with words that she has written. We will also embellish Barbara's words with sounds. As willing and able, please rise and face each direction when called. We begin facing east and turn clockwise.
Powers of the East, O spirits of air, the breath of life, inspiration, gust and gale, both hurricane and cooling breeze, come join with us here.
Come join with us. Facing south.
Powers of the South, O spirits of fire, the warmth of hospitality, the spark of creativity, both conflagration and hearth fire, come join with us here.
Come join with us. Facing west.
Powers of the West, O spirits of water, fog, mist, and rivulet, downpour, stream, and ocean, both tsunami and swimming hole, come join with us here.
Come join with us here. Facing north.
Powers of the North, O spirits of earth, the ground of our being, so solid and sustaining, both earthquake and farmland, come join with us here.
Come join with us here.
Facing the center of the room from where you stand.
Powers of the center, spirit of the soul, of hope, of dreams, of longing, of exultation, both despair and ecstasy, come join with us here.
Come join with us here.
Welcome, elements. Today, we have special guest with us, fabric artist Peg Green. Peg, please stand and wave. Welcome to 1U. Peg made our newest element chalice quilt to commemorate 20 years of Mystic Grove Cups. Peg will be at coffee hour for an informal Meet the Artist, so feel free to pop by and ask her questions. To playfully celebrate our new quilt, I hope some of you brought your stuffed animals to help us. I invite our kids, youth, and adults who wish to play to come forward to help us with the movements. I invite others in the pews and those participating in home to rise in body or spirit and join in the fun.
Sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing, you gotta sing along. Sing when the Spirit says sing. You gotta stomp when the Spirit says stop. You gotta stomp when the Spirit says stomp. When the Spirit says stomp, you gotta stomp right along. Stomp when the Spirit says stomp. You gotta fly when the Spirit says fly. You gotta fly when the Spirit says fly. When the Spirit says fly, you gotta fly right along. Fly when the Spirit says fly. You gotta clap when the Spirit says clap. You gotta clap when the Spirit says clap. When the Spirit says clap, you gotta clap right along. Clap when the Spirit says clap. You gotta swim when the Spirit says swim. You gotta swim when the Spirit says swim. When the Spirit says swim, you gotta swim right along. Swim when the Spirit says swim. You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing, you gotta sing right along. Sing when the Spirit says sing.
Wonderful. What do you think, Aubrey? As the kids move towards the playground and activities with Miss Joan and Miss Cindy, can we do one more round? Maybe the congregation will join in clapping.
You gotta clap when the Spirit says clap. You gotta clap when the Spirit says clap. When the Spirit says clap, you gotta clap right along. Clap when the Spirit says clap. Sing, you gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing, you gotta sing right along. You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing.
Let us move more fully into worship and reflect on our connection to our seventh principle. Our centering reading today is A Time for Transformation from Kate R. Walker. It's a responsive reading. You'll find the words on the screen. I will indicate when you respond. For our earth, our ancient mother, blue-green planet of the galaxy, harbinger of lives beyond measure, we honor you with our humble presence. We bow with humility and gratitude. Pledge our lives. For the plants that have sustained our bodies, wheat, corn, peas, tomatoes, peppers, and soybeans. For the live species providing rich protein, fishes, poultry, pigs, and beef, we offer our thanks for the circle of life. We pledge to transform our lives. For the waters that give us daily life, from ocean depth to rocky cliffs, from Arctic ice to beaches and small streams, from lofty clouds to precious cup at our lips, we remember our dependence. We pledge to transform our lives. For the mountains rising to challenge our greatest aspirations, for the deserts transformed in a torrent of rain, for the forests thick with trunks marked by rings of wisdom, for roots interconnected web, for the new life within the heart of a seed, our souls respond in awe. We pledge to transform our lives. For the millions of species microscopic in the soils under our feet, to the pads, paws, and multitoad, for the feathers and scales, for minuscule eyes open only under the moon's soft guidance, and for the lichens and mosses pushing into the leaves and rocks, we honor your existence. We pledge to transform our lives. For all of us, descendants of the first primates, for those who sleep under the same blessed skies, for those who breathe the same oxygen feeding our heart, for those who need love as much as I, and for those who yearn for the ease of compassion's release, we remember we are not alone. Called by love for the interconnected web of existence, and I pledge to transform my life and yours.
If you want to contribute to our sharing of joys and concerns for the week, you can send an email to joysandconcerns@orlandouu.org during the week so that it may be shared on Sunday. Additionally, if you are attending the service in person, you can also fill out a card at the registration table and hand it to an usher before the start of the service. I don't think we have any today. Okay. For those of you who are attending online, I invite you to write the name of a person that you hold in your heart today in the chat box. We have a share today. Dale Steakley continues to recover in Delaney Park Rehab Center. She is expected to be there for another 4 weeks. So cards and visitors are welcome. The seasons turn, following each upon the other as life circles round, bringing joys and sorrows, comings and goings, challenges and successes. Hold these friends and the loved ones in your life as we take a moment to focus our energies on them. These names have been heard and honored together in this community. Alongside these, we know are certain joys and sorrows that remain private and unspoken. Those too have a rightful place here. May fellow feeling encourage each of us toward ever more compassionate living. This kindled chalice reminds us that here we are kindred souls. We are never alone in the human condition. There is a love that cares for us all. May it be so.
In the center of some pagan rituals, there is an energy raising, which is then directed into a working. I invite you to lift your voice in song to help raise energy, which we will then use to bless the offertory. As willing and able, you can also make your contributions online. If you'd like to make an offering to support the many ministries of this congregation, you could go to orlandouu.org and click the donate button in the upper right corner. You could also donate by sending a text or sending a check. This month's Share the Plate recipient is the LGBTQ History Museum of Central Florida. There are many ways to give to this community partner. These slides will appear again at the end of the service.
In my heart I heard you calling, all around and deep below. Sounded like a river flowing, felt the early morning glow. Well, I see the leaves and shadows dancing, see another day begin. And I let my eye go to the sun and let my life go to the wind. From the mountains to the valleys, rushing to the rocks below, water falling, overflowing, now the seeds begin to grow. Well, I see the leaves and shadows dancing, see another day begin. And I let my eye go to the sun and let my life go to the wind. And the sun will rise in the morning, and the wind will carry on. And the sun will rise in the morning, and the wind will carry on. In my heart I heard you calling, all around and deep below. Sounded like a river flowing, felt the early morning glow. Well, I see the leaves and shadows dancing, see another day begin. And I let my eye go to the sun and let my life go to the wind.
After having raised so much energy, I invite you to focus on the offering basket projected on the screen and also fill it with your good thoughts and intentions. Keep any energy you need to recharge yourself and send any excess energy back down to the earth through your feet. We bless today's offering so we can share our light with the world and help light up others. We remind ourselves that we are the fire tenders, so the flames of justice, community, and love can burn brightly to warm us all. May it be so.
One of the stated purposes of Covenant of Unitarian Universalist Pagans National is encouraging greater use of music, dance, visual arts, poetry, story, and creative ritual in Unitarian Universalist worship and celebration. Carol Etzler-Eaglehart writes, "There is fresh air blowing through that statement. Music, dance, arts, sudden freedom to feel and express and celebrate." Today, through different personal reflections, we explore the joy of creative expression in Unitarian Universalist paganism. As we listen to our speakers, I invite you to consider what joyful, creative risks you might take when you worship, regardless of your personal path.
Good morning. I have been raised both Unitarian Universalist. Oh, can we cut the podium mic, please? We good? Okay, there we go. So I have been raised both Unitarian Universalist and eclectic pagan, and while I am perfectly happy to discuss the UU side of my faith any day of the week, speaking openly about the pagan side of my faith is nerve-wracking. I'm actually shaking a little bit right now because people are quick to judge and assume things that aren't true. As a result, I tend to be in the broom closet, so to speak, most of the time. So today is me doing something brave, speaking openly about my pagan side. Being raised UU Pagan has given me a pretty diverse religious toolbox, if you will. There is no one right answer or one way of doing things. Instead, I have many ways to approach my life. In Pagan and Earth-Centered Voices in Unitarian Universalism, Carol Etzler-Eaglehart writes, "One of the gifts of paganism to Unitarian Universalism is the call to feel fully present in the world, to feel the blood pulse, to be aware, to touch the heartbeat of the earth. It is the gift of embodiment." In the past, there was a gentle joke about Unitarian Universalists saying that they are heady people, walking heads without bodies. There was such focus on the mind that it was as if the body did not exist. For me, Unitarian Universalist worship engages my mind with new things to think about. Sometimes it also touches on the mystic with silent meditation or prayer like we had earlier today. And I too noticed our UU liturgy is not particularly physically expressive. I'll be honest, I was a little surprised some of you actually joined me dancing earlier. Not what I expected. Pleasant surprise though, good job on that. Dr. Taikia Arman expands further in her UU World article, Time to Dance. It's odd the way we leave embodiment outside of our worship experience. If we consider the development of human history, communicating ideas through the body is as old as human beings, if not older, really. It certainly predates the written word and spoken language. Some of the earliest dances we know are tied to ritual and spiritual practice. We also find dance, this moving with intention through time and space, in every culture on the planet. Dance is a fundamental aspect of being human, doing it, seeing it, experiencing it. And yet, in our desire to build community and fellowship, UUs tend to leave dance out, and the body as well. One thing that we all have, it just kind of falls by the wayside. For me, personally, dance feeds my soul. I've shared my dancing with you many times here at this congregation, you saw me earlier. For the first time this year, I was invited to choreograph and perform Awaken Me and We Walk by Abigail Spinner McBride for CUUPs National at their summer solstice celebration for General Assembly. This was particularly meaningful to me because I am relearning how to trust my body again after a long-term illness through dance. Maybe you don't think of yourself as a dancer. Maybe you're self-conscious or introverted. I can't dance at a birthday party. How could I ever be good enough to dance in worship? At whatever age or belief, I think you are good enough. According to the Sacred Dance Guild, sacred dance is any type of dance that is done with an intention to connect with or communicate something about the sacred, however that may be understood by the dancer or choreographer. When I choreograph a piece, I have to trust my instincts. I have to engage my whole self, not just my mind. I have to allow myself to take up space, to be open to feeling deep emotions and become willing to express them bodily. Sometimes dance allows me to express things I have no words for. Is this willingness to open up not a holy, sacred thing? Under dancing, in other words, dancing a little tiny, is more common than people think. People hold back out of shyness. My dance teacher said that if you think you're dancing normally, no one is going to see you from the back of the theater. If you feel like it looks absolutely ridiculous and you're making a fool of yourself, it's probably just right. Believe it or not, having the confidence to do something, anything really, even if you feel a fool doing it, that takes courage to put yourself out there. So let us expand and redefine liturgical dance for ourselves today. Let us take a small creative risk together in worship, and I'll teach you a little something you can use later in the service, during our closing hymn. The chorus for the closing hymn goes as follows: hand to hand, heart to heart, on and on. So 3 ways you can do this. Let's start with the seated variation. Hand to hand, heart to heart, on and on. Easy, right? Yeah, good. Okay. Now, if you are willing and able and you feel like standing up and doing something a little more risky, We can add some legs. Pretty much the same thing. Step out, hand to hand. Step back in, heart to heart, on and on. The third way you can do this is to add something that is uniquely you, something only you can contribute. So for me, I usually do hand to hand, heart to heart, on and on. Make sense? Let's give it a little try. Do you mind if I have, oh, yep, backup's already there. Okay, so we're gonna practice, let's say 5 times, and then hopefully I'll get to see you later. Oh wow, everyone's standing up, nice. Okay, good job. All right, hand to hand, heart to heart, on and on, hand to hand, heart to heart, on and on, hand to hand, heart to heart, on and on, hand to hand, heart to heart, on and on, hand to hand, heart to heart, on and on. Fantastic. I am so happy to see you guys actually doing it. So kudos to you on that. The Chalice dancers from Paint Branch Unitarian Universalist Church state, sacred dance is an expression of faith. In every dance, in every setting, dancers can express joy and derive inspiration from moving in the spirit, in community, and for community. When the time comes for our closing hymn, let us worship with an interconnected mind, heart, body, and soul, rather than worshiping only with our heads. Let us dance connected to each other, embodying and celebrating the spirit of life. May it be so.
Good morning. I'm Mary, one of the founding members of the Mystic Grove. I'm also an introvert and a solitary pagan, meaning I don't practice my faith path with others who formally share my particular variety of paganism. You may wonder then why I would help found a pagan group, serve in leadership for many years, and invest a great deal of time, heart, and energy into nurturing the Mystic Grove. One reason is that though I am comfortable going days without seeing another human, I find joy and fulfillment in sharing my interests with others. And it is only through the alchemy of relationships that I have made my best mental, emotional, and spiritual growth. During that growth, I have come to appreciate the beauty of collaboration. Mystic Grove has offered me countless opportunities for emotional, intellectual, and spiritual partnerships. I share enough interests with the Mystic Grovers that I can happily show off my foot-long spar of black tourmaline or my new moldavite necklace, handbells and singing bowls, cherry elderberry syrup, roselle jelly and ginger honey, favorite songs, inspiring books, uplifting classes. In return, I've been gifted with offerings of books to read, tea blends, chants, films to watch, dances, handcrafted jewelry, more rocks, and so much amazing food. We thrive on doing together. In Craft Circle, we have tasted and steeped cordials, made candles, sewn capes. In Kitchen Witchery class, we chopped, measured, blended, brewed, and cooked with herbs and spices. In Moon Circle, we have made sure that the time of learning is often followed by hands-on practice of shared ritual and magic. In Solar Ritual, we have joined in chant and dance, divination, and energy raising. When we lead worship, we look for ways that all can participate. And we have become comfortable enough to share the things we don't have in common. I have spent evenings in kitchens and nights around bonfires, dissecting the nature of the universe and what metaphors best represent it to each of us. The nature of gods and whether to have a relationship with them, how magic might work, and what could happen after death. In teaching classes, demonstrating crafts, and leading rituals with a team, I have discovered the artistry of cooperative planning itself. I really enjoy going over an outline for worship or a lesson plan with a team. Within this group, I can be vulnerable in sharing a draft that is maybe 3/4 gelled and trust that others will provide constructive criticism and help me to bring forth the rest. We help each other to find the right reading, the right chant or song, the right prop, to help translate our intentions and ideas so that as many others as possible might catch a glimpse of our meaning. We strive for working out problems cooperatively, being able to be frustrated without getting mean, thinking fairly about what everyone needs, depending on the beauty of our diverse gifts, counting on our shared commitment. When the pandemic hit, I began working remotely and had many days when I saw no one. Under pressure, I tend to retreat, and it was much too easy for me to start spiraling in on myself and becoming a dysfunctional hermit. The world was shutting down and stumbling with how to maintain a connection at a distance. Mystic Grove answered the call to reimagine teaching, worshiping, and socializing. Reimagining Moon Circle so that it can include class and ritual online? We'll figure it out. Continue to include participation by worshipers in virtual ritual? Doable. Remotely crafting together, even if it means separately coloring and holding up our pictures to the screen? Of course. That shared effort led me to maintain connections for others that I might not have made solely on my own behalf. During Online Moon Circle, we still cast a circle, but over the distance. We would hold our hands out, send our energy and purpose over the distance, and trust unseen that there were hands connecting to ours across time and space. Hand to hand, the circle is cast. By our intention, that connection held. I hope that each of you has someone who enjoys seeing your new favorite rock, with whom you can dare to share your deepest thoughts or wildest ideas, who you can work on a project with and stay friends, and whose hands are open and reaching. Blessed be.
Hi, I'm Barbara, and I've been a member of the Grove, Mystic Grove, a little bit longer than I've been a member here at 1U. At the first monthly meeting I attended, we were checking in with ourselves and answering, "Why are you a pagan?" I still remember my answer. Makes as much sense as anything else. Well, for me, it still does. Because as a UU, I don't think God, Spirit of Life, Creator, Supreme Being, cares much what we call him, her, it, or them. And being pagan brings my spirit satisfaction. And the rituals, celebrations, and music involved bring me great joy. I get to play with the concepts of gods and goddesses, learn their origins, explore the cultures that acknowledged and worshiped them, align myself with the deities whose aspects call to me in the moment. Little rituals bring me joy. Kuan Yin, whose nurturing mother and kitchen goddess, gets a nod every morning when I make coffee. Gaia and the Green Man, they come with me as I garden, because my very pale green thumb needs all the help it can get. But it's creating and celebrating the big solar rituals, the 8 festivals of the Wheel of the Year, that bring me the most joy. It's the creativity of choosing which gods and goddesses to invoke. It's the creative wordplay in choosing words to welcome and thank each of the elements and deities. Ritual words for opening and closing the sacred circle, and finding novel ways to raise energy. Writing music lyrics feeds my soul. A Mabon ritual, one of 3 pagan harvest festivals, that asked, well, what if Charlie Brown's Great Pumpkin really did exist? It's my favorite. We meditated on a walk through the pumpkin patch and sang pumpkin carols. Creating music and ritual feeds my spirit. It challenges me to think up new ways to raise energy through arts and crafts, drumming, singing and movement, even the occasional spell casting, which is basically just focused intention. We have planted bean seeds, infused with our individual intentions. We have churned butter. We have chanted and recreated our rebirth from the womb of the Enrichment Center into the ritual space of Gore Hall. I've had the most fun creating rituals celebrating Ostara, which is the spring equinox, and Mabon, the autumn equinox. Now, COVID threw us a curveball in 2020. Ostara was all set to be in person in Gore Hall, and then it wasn't. Campus shut down, we had to pivot to Zoom. Few tweaks, and we had a digital ready version of our very first foray into online ritual. We've learned a lot in the ensuing years. Begged and borrowed bits and pieces found on the web, and thanks to Kat's awesome skills with camera and computer, our rituals are fantastically meaningful and artistic. Case in point, borrowing things from the web, there's a short video that I found of all the woodland creatures asking, "What time is it? What time is it? It's springtime." Google it when you get home, it's adorable. There is so much out there in the ether to inspire creativity and ritual. We've used many stories, chants, and songs, some included in today's ritual, with the permission of the artists, authors, and publishers to enhance our offerings. When songwriter Amanda Udis Kessler was approached for permission to use Mother Earth's beloved garden to welcome the elements, she actually wrote us a corresponding song to end the ritual and thank the elements. It was amazing. I've written a few things for folk ensemble and choir as well. Composing music brings me joy. Hearing others sing and play it makes me even happier. Well, going back to Charlie Brown and the Great Pumpkin, shouldn't there be pumpkin carols? Would you sing one with me, please? Music, maestro, please. Pumpkin patch, proof of nature's worth. O great pumpkin, source of all abundance, joy and mirth. Pumpkin patch, proof of nature's worth. O great pumpkin, source of all abundance, joy and mirth. Dashing through the vines, leaping pumpkins one by one. O'er the fields we go, just to have some fun. The harvest has begun. We reap what we have sown. With barns and bins and larders filled, the seeds we've sown have grown. Oh, pumpkin patch, proof of nature's worth. Oh, great pumpkin, source of all abundance, joy and mirth. Pumpkin patch, proof of nature's worth. Oh, great pumpkin, source of all abundance, joy and mirth. Thank you. There were a few others, but I won't foist those on you. Paganism, for me, still makes about as much sense as anything else, worship-wise. Plus, it feeds my creativity, playful spirit, and it brings me joy. In this clip from General Assembly, we journey through the wheel of the year, starting with winter solstice, traveling through spring and summer, and ending with Samhain in late fall. We will see how other UU pagans have celebrated in their CUUPs chapters and UU churches in the past year. You might spot a few familiar faces. I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join in singing and dancing as we turn the wheel to mark the longest day of the year. You can follow us for suggested movements in the chorus. Please remain standing at the end of the song.
Singing through the midnight in the moonlight.
Having invited the elements and created the sacred circle at the beginning, the time has come to say goodbye and take down the circle again. Please respond with farewell and thank you. As willing and able, please rise in body or spirit and begin facing the center from where you stand and turn counterclockwise as each element is called.
The center, spirit of the soul, of hope and joy, farewell and thank you.
Farewell and thank you. Facing north.
Powers of the north, spirits of earth, solid and sustaining, farewell and thank you.
Farewell and thank you. Facing west.
Powers of the west, spirits of water, rain shower and ocean, farewell and thank you.
Farewell and thank you. Facing south.
Powers of the south, spirits of fire, warmth of hospitality, spark of creativity, farewell and thank you.
Farewell and thank you. Facing east.
Powers of the east, spirits of air, breath of life and inspiration, farewell and thank you.
Farewell and thank you. Farewell, elements. Please be seated.
Our closing reading is Be True, Be Well, Be Loving by Reverend Dr. Cynthia Landrum. We leave this gathered community, but we don't leave our connection, our concerns, our care for each other, our service to each other, to the world, and to our faith continues. Until we are together again, friends, be strong, be well, be true, be loving. Please join me in the words for extinguishing our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And so it is done.
Our postlude today features special musical guests from UU Lancaster. I invite you to stand as willing and able and sing and dance along with your stuffed animals. You can also take to the aisles to dance with each other and express yourself joyfully and worshipfully.
We come from the fire, living in the fire. Go back to the fire, turn the world around. We come from the water, living in the water. Go back to the water, turn the world around. We come from the mountain, living in the mountain. Go back to the mountain, turn the world around. Whoa, so is life. Ah, so is life. Whoa, so is life. Ah, so is life. Do you know who I am? Do I know who you are? See we one another clearly. Do we know who we are? Do you know who I am? Do you know who you are? See we one another clearly. Do you know who we are? See you know who I am? Do you know who you are? See we one another clearly. Do you know who we are? Whoa, so is life a party war? So is life. Whoa, so is life a party war? So is life. Water make the river, river wash the mountain, fire make the sunlight turn the world around. Heart is of the river, body is the mountain, spirit is the sunlight, turn the world around. We are of the spirit, truly of the spirit, only can the spirit turn the world around. Whoa, so is life a body, wah, so is life. Whoa, so is life a body, wah, so is life. Whoa, so is life a body, wah, so is life. Whoa, so is life a body, wah, so is life.